Hi everyone, I had a subscriber approach me a few weeks ago asking me questions about hyaluronic acid because they were a little confused. And I'm not surprised. Now, instead of responding to that comment with an essay, which would take me way too long, I thought I would do a very short video on whether hyaluronic acid is actually a good ingredient or a bad ingredient, because let's face it, a few years ago, hyaluronic acid was the ingredient to have. All skincare had hyaluronic acid thrown at it, even makeup had hyaluronic acid in, and then niacinamide took over that hype, and now everything's got niacinamide in there, and hyaluronic acid has started to be a little demonized. So is there a good reason for that demonization, or is hyaluronic acid still an amazing ingredient for your skin? Well, I am going to answer that in this video today. If you are new here, hi, my name's Gemma. I'm actually a fully qualified beauty therapist and esthetician here in the UK, but I no longer practice in a salon or a clinic as my full-time job is now YouTube. I upload 2 to 3 videos here on YouTube every single week, and I'm also on Instagram if you fancy checking me out over there. If after this video is finished you found it helpful in some way, I would really appreciate it if you would come and join the Pampered Wolf Pack by clicking on that subscribe button and also the notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. So hyaluronic acid is actually found naturally within the skin, but applied topically as a treatment in either a serum or a cream. It's a very gentle ingredient, even though it has the word acid in the name, and is pretty much suitable for all skin types. There will be exceptions to the rule though, like with all ingredients, there are going to be some people that are sensitive to hyaluronic acid, and if that is you, my heart goes out to you because hyaluronic acid is pretty much present, like I said before, in all skincare products. So yeah, that's going to be a difficult one if you are sensitive to hyaluronic acid. Now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that anybody use hyaluronic acid in large doses. Anything 2% or below will be very gentle on the skin. Anything above 2%, you may run into issues. So always look at the percentage on the product. Not all hyaluronic acids are going to be the same. There are different molecular weights, and depending on the molecular weight and the molecular structure depends on how deep it will penetrate in the skin. So some products say they've got hyaluronic acid in when actually they've got sodium hyaluronate in. Now, sodium hyaluronate for me personally, I feel is the better ingredient because the molecular structure is smaller, meaning it will get deeper into the skin, not just sit on the surface levels of the skin, and you'll see more benefits. That's my personal opinion. Some people prefer hyaluronic acid as a whole. I prefer sodium hyaluronate. So what is hyaluronic acid? Why was it the buzz ingredient a couple of years ago? And what's it supposed to do for your skin? Well, hyaluronic acid is part of the humectant family, which is actually quite a large family and includes ingredients like hyaluronic acid, like glycerin, like propylene glycol, urea, colloidal oatmeal, to name but a few. All humectants attract water. That is their sole job. Once they've got this water, they bind the water to the collagen molecules within the skin, making your skin appear firmer, bouncier, plumper, more youthful, and more glowy. If you think of dehydrated skin as an unblown balloon, it's a little lifeless, it's a little saggy, it's got lots of wrinkles and creases on there. Once you start filling that balloon full of water, it becomes plumper, it expands, it looks fuller, it feels firmer, and all those fine lines and wrinkles smooth out. So why is hyaluronic acid so good? Well, hyaluronic acid attracts water like a magnet. So why is hyaluronic acid so bad? Well, for exactly the same reason. Let me explain what I mean. Hyaluronic acid is not a magic ingredient, and it definitely shouldn't be viewed as a magic ingredient. There are actually more ways of applying hyaluronic acid incorrectly and ending up with a dry, really dehydrated skin than there are for applying it in the correct way and ending up with a hydrated, plump skin. If you want to get the best results out of your hyaluronic acid, if you don't want dehydrated skin, if you really want to get the benefits and get that really plump, really hydrated skin, you have to follow 3 principles. These 3 principles are non-negotiable. If you cannot follow these 3 principles because you don't feel your skin will be able to handle it, in my opinion, I would recommend that you don't use hyaluronic acid in your skincare routine. So here are the 3 principles. So while I'm talking through these 3 principles, I want you to envisage a cooking pot or a saucepan. That cooking pot or saucepan is our skin. Now our skin has a little bit of hydration in those deeper layers of skin already. So we're going to fill that saucepan a quarter full of water. Then we're going to take a sponge. Now this sponge is hyaluronic acid. We already know that hyaluronic acid attracts water, whether it be from the atmosphere around us or whether it be from an external source. So we're going to apply that sponge directly into the saucepan, which is our skin. Principle 1, always start with a damp skin. This is so important and I'll explain why in just a second. You can either have a damp skin from just getting out of the shower, just splashing your skin with water, or you can have a hydrating mist. That's my preference because generally I haven't just had a bath or a shower when I'm applying my skincare. So I like to douse my skin with the hydrating mist and then apply my hyaluronic acid. So super, super important to start with a damp skin. And here's the reason why. So this is even more important if you live in a dry climate, whether that is a hot dry climate or whether that is a cold dry climate, or whether you are on a plane which has recirculated air, which tends to be very dry. By applying hyaluronic acid to a dry skin, it's like putting the sponge directly in the saucepan, which has that deep layer of hydration, that little bit of water in the base. If the hyaluronic acid cannot attract water from the atmosphere around, if you are in a dry climate, it will attract water from any source possible because that's what it does, that's its job. So instead of getting the water from the atmosphere around you, it will take the water from the deeper layers of your skin. So it will suck that into the sponge, which then, instead of being in the deep layers of the skin, will be more towards the surface. And once it's more towards the surface, you risk that evaporating and losing that hydration altogether. Hence, you get dehydrated skin, and the hyaluronic acid has had the opposite effect to the effect that you actually wanted it to have. So step 1, really, really important, always start with a damp skin. That way you are already providing the water and the hydration that that hyaluronic acid craves, so it sucks down that water that you've supplied rather than sucking away the hydration that's already in the skin. Principle 2, then apply your hyaluronic acid onto that damp face. That hyaluronic acid can be a serum or it could be a cream. Step 3 though is also incredibly important, and it's a step that most people, I can guarantee, will miss out. You need to lock that hydration in place, because even if you don't live in a dry climate or you're not on a plane, your hydration can escape through evaporation as the day goes on. So if you want to retain that hydration, you need to put a lid on that saucepan so none of it can escape. And the only thing that will do this is by applying an occlusive moisturizer over the top of your hyaluronic acid. So, so important. So many people skip this step because they think that occlusive ingredients are going to break their skin out. And if that actually is the case, if your skin doesn't really play well with occlusive ingredients and really thick, heavy creams, you shouldn't be using hyaluronic acid within your routine, because a hyaluronic acid without an occlusive over the top will let all that hydration just evaporate away, and you're going to lose it all, so it will be a waste of money for you to put it on your skin in the first place. Always apply a really beautiful occlusive heavy cream over the top of your hyaluronic acid. A lot of people apply hyaluronic acid first thing in the morning. If you do that, you generally apply a light cream over the top. For that reason, I always tell people to apply your hyaluronic acid in the evening before you go to bed, because generally we apply heavier, thicker creams in the evening anyway when we don't require to cover over those creams with any makeup that we want to last all day long. So apply your hyaluronic acid in the evening, cover it with a really occlusive, heavy cream, and you will retain all that moisture and your skin will be plump and more youthful and glowy when you wake up in the morning. So main bit of advice for everybody, if you are wanting to apply hyaluronic acid, even if you're not applying it to a dry skin, if you are not applying an occlusive layer of cream over the top of your hyaluronic acid to seal it in, therefore putting a lid on that pot, you may as well just put the pot on to boil and just watch all that surface hydration bubble away in the bottom and all the steam come out, and just watch it evaporate into nothingness. You will end up with a very dry pot at the end of the day. So I hope that's been helpful for everybody. Step 1, start with a damp face. Step 2, apply your hyaluronic acid. Step 3, apply an occlusive cream over the top to seal in that hydration. Those 3 steps, you cannot skip. You cannot skip those 3 steps, otherwise you risk your skin being dehydrated within hours. So it's entirely up to you whether you decide to carry on using hyaluronic acid or whether you decide it's too much hassle for you. I myself prefer glycerin to hyaluronic acid because it does all the jobs of hyaluronic acid, but it's slightly kinder on my dry skin. So I just think it's an unsung hero, which I say all the time on my channel. So I prefer glycerin to hyaluronic acid, but applied in the correct way, there is nothing wrong with hyaluronic acid whatsoever. It's just most people apply it wrong. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment in the comment section, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye everyone.